I'm out to accomplish a lot of things, and I want to have a voice in hip hop. I want to have a voice. I want to be able to speak and people listen.
He doesn't care what, the new generation thinks of him. He doesn't care what, what he says offends people. It's classic Slim Shady.
Why is Diddy the self-proclaimed mogul who ruled hip-hop like a king in silk spent nearly 3 decades, dodging every lyrical bullet Eminem's ever fired his way? Not a clapback, not a diss, not even a subliminal. That's not strategy. That's fear. Or worse, exposure. Because when Eminem raps, he doesn't just throw shots, he sets fire to buried truths. His verses are laced with venom, precision, and proof. And now, as Diddy's empire crumbles under federal heat, lawsuit avalanches, and damning hotel leaks, it's clear M wasn't just spitting bars. He was sending a message. Eminem's new album, The Death of Slim Shady, didn't just drop it, detonate.
When I get to that certain level where I'm going to be able to speak and people are going to listen, then I'm going to tell my side of the story.
While social media obsessed over Megan Thee Stallion jabs and Slim Shady's finished punchlines, the real nuke hit in track 8, Antichrist. This wasn't a diss, it was a demolition. A lyrical crime scene with Diddy's name sprawled across the yellow tape. M didn't just throw shade, he dragged Diddy's legacy through every whispered allegation, through confirmed horrors, like he's been stockpiling receipts for years, just waiting on the world to catch up. When Eminem rapped "Ask Mez getting his feet worse than Diddy did," it wasn't a punchline, it was a surgical reference to the now viral 2016 Cassie Hotel incident, exposed in chilling footage released only recently. That bar, not just dark humor, it read like insider knowledge disguised as a rhyme. And when he followed up with, he tried to field goal punt her, she said to chill. The gasps weren't from shock, they were from recognition. Because those watching closely knew, this wasn't a glitch in M's discography. This was part of a long, brutal pattern. Diddy's name has floated through EMS lyrics for decades, always dripping in sarcasm, cloaked in plausible deniability. But now it's naked. And the timing couldn't be more dangerous. Diddy's facing 10+ civil cases, a federal human trafficking investigation, Homeland Security raids, disappearing allies, and deleted apology clips. And through it all, Eminem's in the booth like a prophet with a vendetta, basically whispering, "Told you so." This isn't distract energy. This is prosecution by rhyme. Remember 2018's Killshot? Everyone zeroed in on the machine gun. Kelly roast, but buried in the final bars was a grenade. The day Diddy admits he put the hit out that got pack, people dismissed it as outrageous bluffing. But now, with KFD indicted for Tupac's murder and statements resurfacing that Diddy offered $1 million for the hit, that line feels like prophecy, not fiction. And the scariest part, that was 7 years ago. So how many more warnings have we ignored? Because what if Eminem hasn't just been rapping? What if he's been documenting? The kind of artist whose bars hit with the accuracy of leaked court documents. In Antichrist, the metaphors are minimal. The accusations are crystal. And, behind the grotesque imagery, there's a cold, sharp whisper about the so-called Cassie files. Fans believe M's had access to disturbing receipts for years, either through Cassie's circle or former Bad Boy insiders. And they claim he's been threading that info into his lyrics, baiting Diddy to respond. Diddy never did. Here's where it gets deeper. A former Bad Boy associate alleged that Diddy once tried to buy Eminem's silence. Not a truce, a cash offer. High 6, maybe 7. The kind of payout meant to bury a secret forever. But Marshall didn't take it. Because M doesn't move for money, he moves for blood. And that's why Diddy, the same man who went toe-to-toe with Suge Knight, who built an entire empire off intimidation and influence, has never clapped back. Not once, not then, not now. So why the silence? Is it calculated, or is it fear? Because M didn't just accuse Diddy of abuse. He didn't just allude to Cassie. He called him the Antichrist. That's not trolling. That's legacy-level assassination. And still no diss back. No bars, not even a tweet. Maybe Diddy knows a response would be more dangerous than staying silent. Maybe he knows that any reply would rip open a vault that can't be resealed, because Eminem isn't just rhyming anymore, he's forecasting implosions. We look back now and realize, when M drops lines, it's not about punchlines, it's about timelines. The MGK beef. Just a smokescreen, that hit line about Tupac. Looking more like intel than insult. And now, as Diddy's world burns, under the heat of federal agents, frozen bank accounts, and a tidal wave of lawsuits, Eminem's words feel less like music and more like a map tracing every crack in a collapsing kingdom. So the real question is, how long has M known? And what else is he still holding back? Because Antichrist doesn't sound like closure, it sounds like a warning shot. And based on how it lines up with the headlines, the next verse could be the final nail. Then the trail we're following doesn't lead to another rappy fit, leads to the blueprint of a crumbling empire. The question isn't just who's telling the truth, but how long it's been hidden in plain sight. Because when you zoom out, it looks like Eminem isn't just throwing punches for headlines. He's mapping out a legacy built on manipulation, control, and secrets. And Suge Knight, he might be the madman with the master key, finally cracking open doors Diddy spent decades trying to lock. So who is Marshall Mathers? Really? A provocateur? No doubt. But lately, he's starting to look like hip-hop's dark prophet, a one-man surveillance system with a pen for a scalpel. He's not reacting to chaos, he's exposing the pattern behind it. Every bar is a breadcrumb, every verse a veil being pulled back. And the one man who's built an empire off dominance and bravado. Suddenly, he's mute. No clapbacks, no lawyers. No distractions. Just a vacuum of silence that gets louder with every new lyric Eminem drops. And maybe that's the whole point. Diddy's silence isn't just definite strategic. Because if even one verse of Antichrist is backed by real files, real footage, real people, then the game's already over. Suge has been shouting from his prison cell that the house of Bad Boy wasn't built on music, it was built on manipulation, fear, and NDAs. And now, with Eminem turning whispers into anthems, the dam is breaking. Suddenly, Suge doesn't sound like a bitter relic, he sounds like the guy who's been right. The whole time, here's what's wild. Suge and Eminem never even liked each other. Their worlds were rivals, their eras clashed. But now their paths are aligned, both men circling the same man, from different directions, with stories that echo like synced watches. Suge hints at tapes, sealed depositions, and backroom dealings. M translates that into art, dark, surgical, precise. Suddenly that missing 2012 footage from a Diddy-hosted party doesn't seem like a loss in transit. It feels like something someone didn't want found, unless it was being repurposed for a track. And that timeline. Uncanny. Eminem's most vicious verses always seem to drop right before the real-world explosions hit. As if he's not predicting the downfall, he's broadcasting it in real time. This isn't coincidence. Industry insiders believe he's got boots on the ground, former Bad Boy, ghosts, legal aids with grudges, and maybe, just maybe, Suge himself feeding M from behind the walls. Not out of loyalty, but out of revenge. Because Suge Knight may be caged, but his voice just got amplified by the one person in hip-hop who can't be canceled. And with Eminem reporting live from the front lines and lawsuits circling like sharks, Diddy's entire dynasty now feels like it's balancing on a verse. Just one bar away from collapse. Then we may be staring down the barrel of hip-hop's biggest implosion, an explosion not of beats and bars, but of truth, buried secrets, and institutional rot. If Suge Knight's claims about coercion, blackmail, and media control are even half accurate, and if Eminem is indeed holding the matchbook, then this isn't just the collapse of a rap legacy, it's a full-blown cultural detonation, decades in the making. Because what happens when the one guy who never cared about NDA's power or protecting the gatekeepers decides it's time to burn the whole structure down? Industry whispers now confirm that Diddy's paranoia around Eminem dates back nearly 20 years. Not 2023. Not the Cassie lawsuit, but all the way back to 2006, when M was dropping bars that rattled executives and made PR teams sweat. One exec said Puffy had standing orders to blacklist any press that even mentioned Eminem's name in connection to abuse or Biggie or Tupac. It wasn't just bad blood, it was fear, controlled fear. And that fear, they say, only grew with every lawsuit Diddy buried behind closed doors. And that fear might have had a name, the Cassie Files. A phrase that started as Reddit myth, but gained traction after two former Bad Boy bodyguards vanished overseas and started speaking to podcasters under a. They described the files as a digital graveyard surveillance, statements, even unreleased footage, allegedly documenting a decade of abuse under Diddy's command. The same files, some now speculate, were never meant for the feds, but landed instead in Eminem's hands through a quiet leak from someone tied to Cassie's legal team. If that's true, then Antichrist isn't a diss, it's a trigger, a lyrical demolition countdown designed to expose the unspoken and undo the untouchable. And it's not over yet. A studio engineer recently claimed that during sessions for Antichrist, Eminem muttered to the team, "They'll know everything when the deluxe drops. One sentence, one warning, and no one knows what's on that deluxe edition." But fans aren't expecting bonus tracks, they're expecting grenades. So, here's the terrifying question. If Eminem is holding the final receipts, how long before he detonates them? Because when he does, this won't be another headline about Diddy. It'll be the story that brings down the walls of Bad Boy, and maybe the whole house of hip-hop. Because once the first domino falls, the ones behind it, media execs, enablers, collaborators, go down too. This isn't just beef, it's Judgment Day, and the silence won't protect them anymore. Not from Eminem, not from the truth, not this time.